Gamble looked to have paid off when Piquet crashed heavily and brought out the safety car.
Lewis Hamilton has a resume that likely makes him the GOAT of Formula 1. 7 World Championships is an incredible record, but that number could be under threat. Yes, that's right. There is a chance that Lewis Hamilton could lose his first F1 title from 2008. Join us as we take a look at the controversy around Lewis Hamilton's first F1 title and why he could lose that trophy in the near future. The reason why Lewis Hamilton could lose his title stems back to the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix. Lewis had qualified behind his championship rival Felipe Massa, with the Brazilian holding the lead from the start. However, things got complicated when Nelson Piquet lost control of his Renault and hit the wall. This brought out the safety car, which helped Fernando Alonso massively, as he had pitted 2 laps prior to the safety car. Fernando inherited the lead of the race while Felipe Massa went to the back of the grid after a terrible issue in the pit lane. The Ferrari pit crew had told Massa to go despite the fuel pipe still being attached. Massa dragged his fuel pipe down the entire pit lane, splashing fuel all over the place. The Ferrari pit crew had to run down the pit lane like madmen to catch up to the car and safely remove the fuel pipe. Being at the back of the grid did not necessarily mean Massa's race was over, but the resulting drive-through penalty made it pretty much impossible for Felipe to claim any points. Fernando Alonso would hold on to his lead for the race victory, with Lewis finishing 3rd behind his future teammate Nico Rosberg. Lewis would claim 6 more points than his title rival Felipe, which is a lot when you consider at season's end, Hamilton ended up with just 1 more point than Massa. Almost a year after the race ended in Singapore, a shocking story unveiled one of the biggest controversies in Formula 1 history, that later became known as Crashgate. It turns out the crash that had brought out the safety car in Singapore was not an accident. In fact, the Renault team had told Nelson Piquet Jr. to crash into the wall on purpose so that Fernando Alonso could inherit the lead of the race. That is why Piquet Jr. crashed just a couple of laps after Fernando pitted. Renault were punished heavily for instructing Piquet to crash, but one side effect of the crash was that Felipe Massa's race was ruined. The point swing that Lewis got over his rival made a huge difference at the end of the season, and it is something that went under the radar in the fallout of Crashgate. There was not really much talk of Lewis Hamilton's title being under threat until former F1 CEO Bernie Ecclestone made some interesting comments about that 2008 result. Bernie said, "Back then, there was a rule that a World Championship classification after the FIA award ceremony at the end of the year was untouchable, so Hamilton was presented with the World Championship and everything was fine." Ecclestone added, "But, according to the statutes, we should have cancelled the race in Singapore under these conditions. That means it would never have happened for the World Championship standings. Then, Felipe Massa would have become World Champion and not Lewis Hamilton."
Renault car company had no idea. In fact, from what I understand, nobody in the team knew anything about this. It's just 2 or 3 people that were involved in this.
The most controversial part of the interview was when Ecclestone said, "I still feel sorry for Massa today. He won the final at his home race in Sao Paulo and did everything right. He was cheated out of the title he deserved, while Hamilton had all the luck in the world and won his first championship." Partly on the back of what former head of F1 Bernie Ecclestone had to say, there have been reports that Felipe Massa is now exploring legal options to try and challenge the 2008 title result. This is not the first time that Felipe Massa has looked into changing the result. When Crashgate was first revealed in 2009, the Brazilian led calls for the FIA to cancel the result of the Singapore Grand Prix from the previous season. It may have been because Felipe thought cancelling the result was the fair and just thing to do for Formula 1. Of course, it's much more likely that the Brazilian wanted the race result cancelled because if this happened, he would be a world champion. It probably hurts him even more now, considering Massa never got close to another world championship after 2008. So, could Hamilton's championship actually be in jeopardy? While Felipe may be exploring the legal options available to him, there is really only one way that Massa could overturn the result. The FIA's International Sporting Code is the rule maker for appeals over race results. The expiry date for any request to review expires 14 days after a competition and 4 days prior to the end-of-year FIA ceremony. So, this means that Felipe would be around 14.5 years late to requesting a review from the FIA. The highest authority in these sorts of things is the Independent International Court of Appeal, and so Massa does not have any other legal way to challenge Lewis Hamilton's 2008 title. In sport, there is also the Court of Arbitration for Sport, which handles these kinds of issues. But this court has shown in the past that the final call in these sort of things is down to the FIA, and it seems a little too late for them to change the result of the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix. Still, I'm sure Lewis won't be too pleased about anyone saying that he was extremely lucky to win a championship. So, what do you think? Was Felipe Massa cheated out of a Formula 1 title? Does he have the right to try and challenge the result of the 2008 season? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more exciting F1 videos. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Lewis Hamilton is the world champion.
Unbelievable.
Guys, I'm